Let's talk about these karate shoes.
Man, you picked a good one. That's for certain. Brother, let me tell you, those karate shoes really made you feel like you was a fifth degree black belt. Let me tell you why. Because back in the days, there was no such thing as Louis Vuitton and Nike and all that. A lot of us got our shoes out the supermarket where they had them balls in a little basket up in aisle one. And they had the shoes, and especially like at Boys Market and stuff like that, Woolworth or a few other them little spots. But when your mama and them got hip to them karate shoes, dude, if you didn't have a pair of them, you wasn't you wasn't socially accepted, man. But I don't know why all of us out here in the new world now trying to act brand new. Cause we stay a little spody-ody on them. But y'all remember them karate shoes, man. Sliding all over the place, busting at the bottom, toe part get a hole, but you never lost a fight. And you felt magical when you put them on.
You crazy, but you you did have the little hole in the front. Everyone got the little hole in the front of your karate shoes.
Yeah. That's when you know those is his favorites, and then his mama couldn't afford to get him another pair.
Oh my goodness. That just took me back, man. Something so little, that little detail. The hole in front of the
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. They had a little hole and it showed the white part of the karate shoe. And then after that, the lip part start coming off when you do that last kick, plap, and they go plap, plap, plap. And you just come out the whole shoe. Then you graduated and got them when you got to the penitentiary. That was after I got out of prison, but I heard they had them slipping and sliding the Bruce Lee specials then too. So leave a comment. I know you had them karate shoes, man, and you thought you was a fifth degree black belt. Some of y'all had them pants to go with it before Hammer. Them old dirty bastard pants that flare out and you thought you was part genie, part old dirty bastard, and them karate shoes. Then you would wear them karate shoes. Now tell me if I'm lying. You would wear them karate shoes downtown to the movie theater. You know that movie theater off of Broadway. You rode that RTD, that rough, tough, and dangerous down there to that theater and come out of there with them noon chucks in your hand. What? You remember that? So leave a comment, man. And the first one, leave the best comment. We're gonna send you your very own pair of karate shoes with the brown, red rubber bottoms, all black. The ones that show your bunions and your big toe. And then most of us outgrew them. That's why they had that hole in the front, because your foot would outgrow them.
Why would when was the era when black folks were really into karate?
Well, before the gang stuff, this is based on the history that I've gathered from some of my colleagues. Most of the brothers Tookie and them was in the weightlifting and mixed martial arts with Brother Ron and the Black Karate Federation. These brothers like Big U and them was in the Black Karate Federation. We attended that together. So most brothers was into like weightlifting and karate and things of that nature, man, and self-defense. A lot of neighborhoods may have had, one shotgun sawed off or something, or they fought with golf clubs or something like that, or maybe a stick or a knife. But there was no such thing as automatic weapons until they started bringing that stuff down into the neighborhood. And so, like, I was shocked when I seen where they alleged that brother George Jackson from the Soledad brothers was able to get a gun into the prison, which they alleged that Angela Davis or her attorney, one of them, snuck it in. And brother Jackson, rest in peace forever. May Allah bless him with the highest level of paradise. Came out with the gun, and the warden said something to the degree of the dragon's out the cage or something like that. But I remember watching some stuff on Brother George, and he died with his black power fist in the air on the ground. You know what I mean? But then the white boys, they said that, no offense to those who have white descent, but this is just how the story went. When he went to go get it, the real white boys, that was the real shot callers, and the Aryans or the skinheads or lowrider, whatever they call themselves at the time, they was like, yo, George, with all due respect, man, the guard told us to get at you, to kill you, man. But they was basically out of fear and out of the utmost respect for George. And then they knew how brothers got down back then. So you wouldn't have them TVs and all that in prison right now if it wasn't for brother Jonathan and George Jackson and dudes like that, man. And, that really pushed that line, man, and made sure that you got respect, because George Jackson thought the world was like at war, like Vietnam, or what's that dude named? One dude, he used to study, that used to have a cool Mao Zedong or something like that. I
Mhm.
believe he used to study. So, the ideology of locking black people up into the hidden universities of America have always been something that they've predicated their success on when it comes to crime or controlling poverty. They call it crime, we call it poverty. And if you leave a baboon in a closet, what you think he gonna do? He gonna eat the clothes. You know what I mean? So you got to give a man something. Nothing beats a gun like a job. Nothing on the planet. So you have to be able to give a person an opportunity to find a dirty glass and a clean glass in order to have choices. Because when you find a dirty glass, you put a clean one beside it so that the people can have choices.
Now, is Mumbai connected to the George Jackson and the Soledad brothers situation?
Only by the way of struggle and spirituality. But I always wanted to remember Mumbai. I don't quite know his story. I know he went up against it with his brother and the law enforcement. But that brother been in there a long time, and I believe he's having some health issues. And we just can't forget about Mumbai. So if there's anybody out there in the listening audience that want to remember that brother, try to do so in a comment or send a email or something to the governor or to his foundation to find out what's up with him. In other words, free the worthy captives, man. How much time can you give a man in jail? The good book, the Quran and the Bible pretty much will tell you it's best to kill a man or woman than to oppress them, to have them locked up. And you can't just keep burying people alive under the auspices of them breaking the laws that you built under broke laws. So we got to get some flexibility here when it comes to dealing with poverty and what they consider crime. That's not fair to the masses, because you took us out of our karate shoes as adolescents. Then you put us in the karate shoes going through the penal system. Something ain't clean in the milk.
Did you ever notice how many, I mean, throughout the whole 90s that I remember, there was a tremendous amount of dedicated white people that were dedicated to freeing Mumbai. I know Mumbai strictly by like hippie white people giving me some type of these little flyers. It was always about free, and especially when you went to Venice Beach and stuff like that. It was always free Mumbai.
It's a list of worthy captives that we need to free. Mubaya, we need to free Keta Rocc. We need to free the little sister Stasha, who's been in there for a long time, and I could never get her name correct, but I'm gonna make sure I do it. We'll list it in the description. We need to free brother Ansar El Muhammad, Lavelle Keith. You got some white boys in there that need to be free, some Southern Mexicans that need to be free. Look at the brother from the Southern Mexicans. I forget his name. He recently passed. God bless his soul. Before he died, I believe he was from F-13. Before he died, he told his people, like, man, don't mess with the rats and don't get into it with the blacks. He really tried. And I can't think of his name, but he really tried. I'm gonna have to Google his name. But that brother was a hero in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because he was of Hispanic descent meant nothing, but he was a real boss. And he told his people, like, look, man, we got to unite as human beings first under this banner of poverty, man, to get up out of that. So it's a lot of worthy captives. Not only do they need to be free, but it's a lot of people that need pardons, man. That's how they're changing lives and doing things for other people. See, it's not about us, you and I, per se. It's about how much can you serve the people.
You mentioned, and you're very correct in what you're saying, but you mentioned Keto Rock. Um, I've heard a lot of stories about him. Um, is he in for life, or does he have a release date?
every human being in prison has a release date. It just may not be the one you want. I'm not familiar with his legal situation in terms of whether or not he's worthy or he's about to be free, but I know that he's worthy of being free. Keita Rock was uh, in the plantation Old Folsom with me, and when I got there, you know, he didn't even have no tattoos on his face. And Keita Rock is a good dude, and I believe I know his brother as well. But Keita Rock had the playground back in the days with the Nike contracts when we had the playground store during the riot on Florence, in which we sold Nikes and Bill Clinton came down. You can Google a picture with him and Bill Clinton. But Keita Rock told me one day, he said, Malik, Bill Clinton came down here and they had us put on some sneakers because we was gonna play basketball with him on the court. He said, Malik, we went in the back and got the tightest Converse, the cheapest shoes we can get, high top, some Bunkos. And we put them on old President Bill and we tied them up tight with a knot, like a third. You know, the third graders have a knot in their shoe. You can't untie it. They had the man's shoes tied real tight. And had Bill, you can probably Google it and see the pictures. But they was like, we put that fool's shoes on hella tight because they had him with the camera tying up his shoes for the game. I said, Keita Rock, you gonna keep it 60 no matter what, man. He kept the president of the United States. I went over there. They had like a little booth in the corner with the Secret Service. Some people can build like a Secret Service booth out of a shoebox, and they be hiding in there. You know what I mean? They was in there, man, and Keita Rock had. You could probably pull up the pictures. They had Keita Rock, High T, rest in peace, from Grape Street. A couple other brothers, man, that was in there pushing them shoes. We had franchises that corporate America tried to share with us when after the uprising in 1992.
Wow. So you got Keita Rock with a picture with Bill Clinton.
Just in the history books. That's in every. You can probably Google it and make it a part of your particular interview right now. But I know that Keita Rock was an interesting person because he was the first Crip I ever seen with death row on his face and a tattoo. You know, he was doing some business with Death Row Records, and and back then it was popping. I'm quite sure he did some interesting things hanging out with Pac or one of them dudes, but for the most part, these are the worthy captives, man. That I can't even think of some other brother's name I know that's on death row. That really need to be freed, man. That can come out here and save human beings, not just black people, because this is not a Black Power by the hour show, although it's fortified with blackness, but that's not our primary objective, is just to reach black people, because black is not a people, it's a condition.
It really is. You believe Suge should be freed?
As a brother who has so many friends that's doing life, triple life, life without, life after death, I'm not in no position mentally, spiritually, or physically to say who and who should not stay in prison. If you a child molester, you should be in prison. If you a rapist, you should be in prison. If you out here taking advantage of old people or stealing from the poor in corporate America, you should be in prison. But for me to just have a perspective about somebody in jail already that has been dealt with by the criminal justice system. See, what I find ironic is that on the front of the building downtown LA, it says the criminal courts building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means you going in there to be tried by a criminal. Kaiser say Kaiser Hospital on the front, right? So you're going to get in there and get help by who?
Kaiser.
A doctor, not Kaiser, because Kaiser's the corporation. You got to listen to the question. If you went to Kaiser, what would you get help from?
Doctors.
If you went to prison, who would you get help from?
Correctional officers.
From rehabilitation, from the Department of Rehabilitation. So my point is, people that commit these type of atrocious crimes against humanity should face some sort of consequences. In my humble opinion, I think police officers should, like, they get tested, like they get tased and they get gassed and stuff like that before they become a member of the force. I believe that they should be incarcerated That's how the sheriffs do it, but they just not behind cages. There was a time, I don't know if it still exists, but the sheriff, you had to stay in the county jail for 6 years before you even got a patrol car. So that's why when the sheriffs pull somebody over, they game be so thorough because they done worked with all them convicts in the county jail, and there's not much you can pull on them.